Forward! Forward! Forward!
Fall in. Hey, good morning. Y'all know what it is. It's me, Trade Commission. Y'all rocking with your favorite vets on that first formation morning sports talk. So come get to it, fall into the formation. Because we got a couple of things to talk about. I know it's been a long time since we left you, but here I am back again, rocking with just be cautious. Be patient with me as doing some things here and there until I get back ready to get grounded back beneath my feet and locked in again. But here and there, of course, will be. So I'm not going anywhere yet. I'm still here, just taking care of some business. So real quick, first there was a lot of stuff going on over the course of the last week and the weekend. As we all know, the NBA's free agency opened up with the bank, spending well over billions of dollars in the first couple of hours. In state, 3 days in the books, some moving and shaking going on, which we'll get to shortly. Real quick, want to go over a couple of things. Looking at the Major League Baseball front, some games took place yesterday. Giants and Mets, 8-4 Giants. The Cleveland Guardians knock off the Chicago Cubs by a score of 8-6. The Tampa Bay Rays fall to the Seattle Mariners 7-6. The White Sox take out the A's by the score of 7-8. The Diamondbacks fall to the Los Angeles Angels 5-2. Detroit Tigers with a whopping victory over the Colorado Rockies by the score of 14-9. Houston Naturals knock off the Rangers 5-3. New York Yankees fall to the St. Louis Cardinals by the score of 5-1. Cincinnati Reds 4-3 over the San Diego Padres. The Red Sox edge out the Blue Jays with a 5-4 victory. The Milwaukee Brewers over the Pittsburgh Pirates 3-4. The Nationals get the 5-4 victory over the Philadelphia Phillies. The Braves knock off the Marlins 6-3. Baltimore Orioles 2-1 over the Minnesota Twins. And last but not least, the Kansas City Royals blow out the Los Angeles Dodgers by the score of 9-1. So, of course, you know the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is creeping up and is almost upon us, in which I'm going to get to, not right now, but definitely going to circle back to where we're looking at this All-Stars. The reserves have been selected, but now currently they're really tapping in. Of course, always happens, the snubs. Always that in the All-Star game because there's always someone who's most likely deserving, but due to the fact there's only a couple of eligible positions and slots, someone always is just seen as getting the back end of the stick. We'll get to that later, a little bit later. WNBA action, 4 games in play. One which is the most surprising as Ryan Howard goes for 43 points versus the Los Angeles Sparks, knocking down 6 trays to give the Atlanta Dream the 112-84 victory. The Washington Mystics take an L to the Dallas Wings 89-92. The Chicago Skies get the 2-point win over the Indiana Fever in their Commissioner's Cup game 89-87. And last but not least, the New York Liberty take out the Seattle Storm by the score of 81-66. Of course, Knicks games in WNBA action, running it back just after the 4th of July. The Dream and Sparks running back in LA. The Mercury and Liberty get to fall in New York. Indiana Fever will be hosted by the Minnesota Lynx, and the Las Vegas Aces take their 15-1 9-game win streak up against the Dallas Wings in the WNBA's Commissioner Cup game in Las Vegas. So getting back into it, right? So just as I said at the top of this hour, the NBA had a whole lot of going on. We had extensions to players, trading, trade talks. Some people stayed, some people left. In my opinion, there wasn't a huge seismic shift in the atmosphere of the NBA. However, there were some moves that were made that probably are going to bring in um, that's probably going to bring in some eyebrow raising, maybe some oohs and ahs as you get now. There's some teams that are built differently, definitely without a doubt. When it comes down to the now, what is the look of the NBA? Of course, more expected to be made. As if no one was checking or you didn't hear about it. Of course, Damian Lillard of the Portland guard for the Portland Trailblazers has requested a trade out of Portland. Interestingly enough, after Portland goes and makes a couple of moves to bring in some people uh, or keep some people there for it, not really bringing too much. Of course, first started off with them drafting um, guard phenom Scoot Henderson in the draft, in which, of course, I'm very sure it was expected that that was going to be enough. That was going to start the ball to rolling when it came down to um, those players and Dane potentially staying. But once it was all said and done, not much was done really. Actually, when you look at it, they did resign Jeremy Grant. The Portland Trailblazers resigned Jeremy Grant. Um, they allowed Drew Eubanks to walk. He's now the Phoenix Sun. Um, Cam Reddish left and went just down the coastline. Now he's in LA, the Lakers, that is. A qualifying offer was submitted to Matisse Thybulle. Uh, they sent Kevin Knox on about his way, so he declined his option. So really, in state, when you look at it, nothing was truly done in essence of converting or helping out the field or helping put people around Dame Lillard, unless there was some blockbuster trade that was expected to be done. In state is, I guess, Dame feels like there has been nothing that has been done to help him in his quest for a ring in Portland. Now, of course, the talks has been that Dame would like to possibly get to a preferred destination. Of course, as we know, for most preferred destinations, um, a player does not get. Although the top names that have requested trades in the last 3 to 4 years, or last 3 or 4 players that could have requested destinations um, in trades when it came time for them to move, have gotten it. That being um, Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant for the most part. So now you put this in Dame Lillard. Is he potentially going to get his ass or requested? What's good, Seven, bro? I was just checking out your show the other day, man. We got to link back up, man. We got to get it back in, bro. I'll have to hit you up to see when we can get together. But glad to have your information with us, fam. So the in-state or Black, we was just talking about what Dame requested to go to Miami or New York, in which it has been rumored that the Miami Dolphins or I'm not correction, Miami Heat have been looking to put together a package that will most likely put Tyler Hero that would put Tyler Hero. Hey, what's good, Coach Wade? Hey, it's about to go down in Miami. I mean, in Orlando. You know, I want to have to shout that out. Of course, the AAU's men and women's Battle of the Shields going down this weekend. Y'all get to, as Coach Wayne said, um, get to the congregation. T. Morris, Edward Jenkins, Brandon Mitchell, Antonio Marquise, Jones, Justin Johnson, Dominique, Sweet Jackson, Sweet Jackson, Jasmine Green, DeAndre Snow, Brandon Parker, and Ryan McGee. Of course, I got you. We got it. It's going down Wednesday. Yeah, y'all see it here. It's some just issues to address. Uh, Wayne Walcott in the building Wednesday. Y'all know, tap in. So getting back to it, right? Um, yeah, Dame, as expected. If you didn't see that coming, Dame making that decision to decide to go. I mean, to go about his business when the in state where there has not been much done in state with the with that. I don't know what you've been what NBA you've been watching. There has been there I think instantly obviously what happened is Portland probably was ready for the move on from Damian Lillard. Um he had to of course within the eyes of the media he had to say okay, I'm open to staying here. I don't want to leave. Portland came up and said the same thing, but but obviously what we see is they wanted him to leave because they really didn't get him any help. Honestly, they let the players move around and move on about. Although we got to take into consideration there are still some players that are out there. That being those like James Harden, um, is still out there. He hasn't. I don't think he signed anywhere yet. And then maybe even some people to be moved, or could be likelihood of moves being made later on in the as the most majority of the and then we still got the trade deadline that's coming up still. So in state, what Dame has done is he has I don't know if he has a no trade call clause, but he has put himself in position to where now, of course, they're going to make the best trade possible for their organization, not so much for Dame. Of course, you would think that the expectation is that they're going to give Dame that love due to the fact that he was loyal to that organization for so many years. But in state, as we always say, we've had talks on here in reference to it, it's a business in state. It's a business, and you got to make it work. So if it can't work to where it's equal or a great benefit for both parties, I can assure you the party that's going to get it. What's good, Diz? Glad to have information. We appreciate you watching, man. Um, in state is once it's all said and done, they're going to go ahead and make it beneficial from them and them alone, of course. So tapping into some of these teams, right? Matter of fact, let me get back to this Portland squad. So some teams made some things. What's good, Snow? What's going on, man? Glad to have you information, man. I was been away for a second. Correct, and always, and that's what in state. That's what it's going to come out to be, Coach Wayne. It's like I would try to get you where you can, but if it doesn't work for me, whoever's giving me the best deal is what we're going to honor, and that's in state. And I don't know right now um if it would be New Jersey. I mean Brooklyn. If it would be New Brooklyn, that's going to be a good trade now as they make some pieces move. It could be Miami. I don't know if it's anyone that can give up anything. I know Miami is talking about Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and a couple of draft picks. I think was second round draft picks. Is that of worthy of a Damian Lillard? Is that type of caliber in which he's going to bring to? Does that mean Kyle Lowry gets waived and move and now puts into the bargain bin? Does a trade come up? Do they add a third team in to move around some players and to bring back a little more value? Um, okay, so he does have a no trades call, so definitely is going to be one of those two teams for the most part. Or like you said, if Damian Lillard feels like I can make this work, then it is. But first and foremost, Miami or Brooklyn is what is looking at. Brandon eats trash. It's not looking so. It's I mean we're going to see. In state is they're going to try to move him and put him in position to be be somewhere that he prefers to be. Like I said, basically they lost Trenton Walford. Um, it's just Portland didn't make the moves that they should have in state. That's what it all comes out to be, in my opinion. Um, wasn't too much was too much done to put them in a position to where Dame felt like, all right, they're going doing some stuff to go to move for it to that really appreciate me, and it's unfortunate, but of course they will go on. I wonder what is going on Wednesday. As you know, see if you're in the comments, Wayne Walcott will be here. A little stir the pot a little, as he says, to get it going. As you know, they have the tournament going on in Orlando, 7 through 9 July. I can't wait to hear about it or see the post. If you've been paying attention, if you're in the into the military basketball community, T Moore's been working out. He's looking at trying to get back to it. We're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna hear it talk. The schedule ain't been posted. Who's playing who, Coach Walcott? That's what they waiting on. Who's playing who? Snow said he's not excited yet. He's trying to see who's their first victim. So okay, so sorry, I got sidetracked for a little bit. So getting back into it, right? So some other teams, of course, made some moves in which I see gave a lot of admiration for. Um, Phoenix Suns, right? So you already know how the Phoenix Suns did. They um, they initially started out uh, making about 6 moves for the most part, bringing in, agreed to a 1 year deal with Chimizi Metu, leaving Sacramento, now in Phoenix. Might be a good pickup, a young, serviceable individual, young, getting a little bit younger. Agreed to a 2 year deal with Drew Eubanks, in which only the first year is guaranteed. He basically got to make a team option, actually. Uh, First year good. Second year, if he's not, if he hasn't contributed like they thought, he gets dropped. Keate Bates Diop, now a Sun, he agrees to a 2 year deal. Damian Lee back on a 2 year deal, so he doesn't leave. Eric Gordon, free agent, who was released. Now, not I ain't gonna say released. Who wasn't re-signed? Now he is a Phoenix Sun. So now we look at when you see it, it starts to kind of like build up. Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Aiden. It's going down. It's going to be a huge problem in Phoenix. It looks like Devin Booker. It's Kevin Durant. It's like it's it's going to be crazy in Phoenix, and which is unfortunate because they're in the West. But I think LA bodies did some things to try to keep pace, but I don't think that's going to be good enough. Of course, they still have Jordan Goodwood and Wainwright, I believe, that are still in the fold, but not uh, guaranteed contracts. So Phoenix, for the most part, went and made some moves that are going to be beneficial to them. I think in state. Uh, I would say I hate it, but not necessarily as an aspect of a fan. As being a fan of the Lakers, in which I dislike the the movement in which Phoenix did. But of course, this is all on paper, and usually how a course goes down is they have to start playing games. Without these games being played and this being put in position, we don't know what we're going to get. But right now on paper, Phoenix is looking pretty good. I think the addition of Eric Gordon, although he is a veteran and older, but Garrett, Eric Gordon can get you some points and some veteran leadership. Of course, already tapped in with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. Um, they still have Cameron Payne. Interesting enough, I wonder. I seen where there was a couple of outlets that had put up a thing where it said this is what it looks like. This is the starters for Phoenix, in which they had Devin Booker at the one. I don't think that's going to happen. I honestly believe that Cameron Payne probably finally gets to start and run the team. Eric Gordon's probably going to go to the bench, and going to come off the bench. I don't know currently who's going to be their backup guard. I don't know if it is that Ish Wainwright, but definitely a new, different look in Phoenix, making some moves. And Charlotte, I seen an interesting, I seen an interesting post to where Michael Jordan, Air Greatness. If Bishop was on right now, he'd be talking about this. But Michael Jordan has made $94 million in career salary. Of course, we know Michael Jordan's caked up, and saying he has plenty and plenty of money. But per his career earnings, Michael Jordan had made only $94 million for his career. Interestingly enough, LaMelo Ball, who has been in the league for what, 3 years, 4 years, just signed a max extension, 5 years, $260 million, over 160 million more career wise than Michael Jordan. And so they expect to see is that's over the course of the next 5 years, which puts us in through the 2029, 2030 time frame, or 28, 29, 28, 28, 29 season, to where Lamelo, if he continues to go on his ascension, is going to sign another huge deal, probably another 5 4 year, $5 to $4 million deal. Um, and then of course now be on the situation, but that could be anything. It ain't no telling how the CBA is going to turn, how the CBA would be looking by that time frame. So it's a coin flip from here. But at this point, 94 million from the great your Air Greatness, LaMelo Ball, 260 million, an extension basically on his for his rookie extension, eliminating the opportunity for him to even go into restricted free agency or even make it to free agency in his career. Additionally, if y'all, I know y'all remember Miles Bridges, another player that was ascending before his unfortunate situation that he had with his unfortunate situation in which he had with his a domestic in a domestic violence situation in Los Angeles. He signed a 1 year qualifier offer for $7.9 million. Of course, I believe he is a that being the restricted free agent qualifying offer, getting him the fold, and after the fold, if no one picks him up, then of course he becomes a Charlotte Hornet ready to go again, and of course Charlotte can go forth and pay him the money that he was expected to get last year if it wasn't for his legal troubles. Of course, during the course of the draft, Brandon Miller was added um, into the fold. Charlotte Hornets might be ready to make some noise. Of course, when I look at it, I think there's a couple of players. I think we discussed it earlier before. There's a couple of players that are out there, or teams that are out there, that are maybe going to make some moves and make leaps. Of course, being the younger the Houston Rockets, in which we speak about later on, and speak about what they've done. Um, the Houston Rockets. What's good, Jasmine? Of course, Coach Walcott calling y'all to the floor, or he said the congregation. I'm glad to have you with us this morning. But Brandon Miller, like I said, added to that. So the Charlotte Hornets, um, Houston Rockets, the Detroit Pistons. I would even now throw in there the Indiana Pacers. Of course, like I said, all these teams are going to get to, but just as a sidebar, I think they made some moves that put them in the position to where we're probably going to see some good ball. That being said, of course, again, I say that this is all on paper, and we don't know what the outcome is going to be after this. What's good, MEB? What's going on? Glad to have information. What's good? I'll have to hit you up later. I had something to talk to you about. But yes, glad to have you here. Moving on, Denver Nuggets. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So Bruce Brown, right? Bruce Brown as we talked about before, been in the league 2, 3 years, 3 or 4 years, gets a mulligan, gets a life preserver thrown to him. Denver Nuggets pick him up. He gets on the squad. He produces. A couple of things, and then produces himself into an NBA champion. Right. Disengages two from his $6.7 million, which he's expected to get um, to make himself a free agent, and collects somewhat of a bag, 2 years, 45 million to go play in Indianapolis. Now in Indiana, now Bruce Brown has to show and prove. Was that a good move? Did Bruce Brown? Of course, Bruce Brown betted on himself. Is that going to make a difference to where is he going to turn that into even more, more money in state, or is he basically has he just robbed the Indiana Pacers, make his pockets fatter, all because he became a champion? Did that 1 year make a difference? In any case, the Denver Nuggets um, bring back Reggie Jackson on a 2 year, $10 million deal. They re-signed DeAndre Jordan to back up to continue to back up the Joker, bring him back. Justin Holiday signed a 1 year deal. They still have Christian Brown that's in the fold, so I'm expecting that Christian Brown might actually be the one to start picking up those minutes that's left out there by Bruce Brown, or to come off the bench. Cody, Jokic is still there. Aaron Gordon. They did lose Thomas Bryant, as now Thomas Bryant is going to. I think he signed with Orlando. Did he go to Orlando? I have to look, but Thomas Bryant is gone. He's no longer there. What's good, Dre? What's going on, fam? I'm glad to have information with us this morning. So yeah, so to me, that's the biggest story out of Denver is the fact that Bruce Brown left. He's going on the bigger and better pastures, going to um, play in Indiana, now a Pacer, but just looking interesting when you look at that. The Pacers, I think, really start shaping up, um, making some moves, putting themselves in a position to where they might be able to complete. Yes, Jeff Green left too. Jeff Green is now in Houston. Jeff Green has tapped into Houston now with them. So a very interesting mix of young and old in Houston now. When you look at it, in my opinion, especially when you look at now, Emi Udoka is at the helm. I don't know how much love he's gonna get from from the opposite sex, but he's now currently there. Matter of fact, let me see what's going on. Let's take a look at Houston. Ooh. Who did get added to here? Of course, Fred VanVleet added to Houston. Now they're point guard of the future. Um, Point guard of the future now. 1 second. Oh, okay, I was about to say my thing froze up. H Town. Let me get to my transactions. Oh my goodness, it shifted. 1 second, bear with me as I'm having technical difficulties. Mm. So as that cycles through, so I can pull up, so I can be able to talk the points. But definitely, like Houston did, makes a couple of moves. Oh, here it goes. Here, re-signed Trevor Hudgens to a two-way contract. First, that was one of the first moves they made at the beginning. Just yesterday, um, already had waived Cauley Stein and Pierre Henry earlier in the year. That was in uh, of recently. Let me see. So they basically they waived the Sheen Knicks as well as and added the Darius Days to a two-way contract. Trevor Hudgens they signed to a two-way contract yesterday. They brought in Fred Van Fleet. Um, they brought in Jeff Green. They brought in who else? So many dang things open. They traded KJ Martin. KJ Martin's now a Clipper. So it was some moves in which Houston made that basically put them in a position to, I think, in my opinion, to add something to it. Of course, we know Jabari Smith Jr. was already there, just drafted last year. Seguin, Porter, Jalen Green, already there. They added, like I said Jeff Green, um, brought in KJ Martin. I just had it up. 1 second. 1 second. I need to get a separate screen because this is killing me. Um, 1 second. Let's see if I had put it already in my notes. As I get ready to find it, my fault. My apologies. Um, but in case, as I said, Houston huge on the making a couple of moves that put them in position um, to be more competitive in the West in state. That's basically what it comes out to. I think additionally, like I said, Indiana made themselves more competitive in the East. LA, the Lakers, not all in which they did that I agree with, but for the most part, I did. In state, I really didn't like the idea of them bringing back um, D'Angelo Russell. I wasn't too keen on him, especially, but I guess everyone deserves an opportunity. D'Angelo Russell now gets an opportunity to put himself to atone for him falling off late in the season. They did let go of were didn't claim or pick up Lonnie Walker the fourth again. He is now going to try to make his best as he gets a 1 year deal in Brooklyn. However, LA did bring back Austin Reeves and Ryu Hachimura. So they bring back Hachimura, Reeves, D'Angelo Russell. They bring them back and keep them in the fold. Of course, they already okay. They did bring back Vanderbilt earlier before the start before the draft. So off their roster last year, they still have LeBron, AD, Reeves, Hachimura, and Russell that are still there. They brought in free agents, Gabe Vincent, so they grabbed Gabe Vincent off the Miami roster. Off the Miami roster, gave him 3 years, $33 million. So he's in the fold. Maybe the point guard, starting point guard going forward. Um, Teron Prince, Cam Reddish, um, They took a swing at a couple of swings at for um, Lopez, in which it uh, came up short as Lopez went ahead and recommitted to Milwaukee. So as I was saying, there's a lot of people that basically made moves at some made moves, others really didn't. Not too much really going on, but of course, like I say, D'Angelo Russell resigns. Dennis Schroeder left LA, now in Toronto, so he won't be in LA after the second stint. Lonnie Walker also left. That's why I stayed on to Brooklyn. Rui Hachimura gone. Malik Beasley sent on his way. Mo Bamba sent on his way. Actually, with the possibility of re-signing possibly for the Lakers as they look to fill out the roster. So they probably end up bringing them back. Um, Austin Reeves get re-signed. And definitely release of Tristan Thompson, who is also a candidate potentially to come back. Mo Bamba, as I stated, is a candidate to come back. Troy Brown out. Wayne Gabriel, I believe, is going to be out, or he might get Brown back. Uh, so it's someone I know I'm missing for the Lakers, uh, and who they brought back in free agency, or the moves they made for the most part. Mm-mm. I really wish they would have got their hands on. Jackson. That's who Jackson Hayes was brung in to the fold. So definitely Wayne Gabriel. Wayne Gabriel is probably out. Um, I actually like Jackson Hayes, so I wasn't mad at that. I really would thought and wish we would have got our hands on Dylan Brooks, but in any case, we can work with what we got. Um, what would be crazy is, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna wait for it. We'll just wait and see. We're not going to go there yet. Uh, the Pacers. I've been harping on the Pacers all day, right? Harping on the Pacers all day. I really think they made some moves that are probably going to, like I said, is going to be very uh, that's going to put them in position to really compete in the East. Of course, you have people when you look at Philadelphia, they can make any huge moves. Um, Philly, they can make any huge moves, in my opinion. Milwaukee basically brought back their team. Of course, we know earlier in the year Boston made their moves with the trades and the pickups and stuff, and bringing in some help via the via trade. So Boston, Miami, we still have to see what goes on. Even in New York, I mean Brooklyn for the most part. New York, as I was saying, New York, they made a couple of moves as well. Traded Obi Toppin. He's now in Indiana. Uh, and bring him back. So who was that? I think Tom. Who was it? Went to Joe Harris. I think went to. Did he go to Detroit? I think. So in state, a lot of movement going on. Of course, still some to be made. As like I said, you still got James Harden out there that hasn't signed yet. Um, Damian Lillard situation going on, which is fluid currently. Um, so a couple fluid situations still keep it at there. Of course, there's some time frame if a player was traded or signed to free agent to free agency, they have to wait a certain amount of time frame before they can be moved on, so they can't be added in any trades. I think until the first of the year, the beginning of the year. So whom is going to wait for that much time? Of course, when you look at you're trying to build your team, but of course it can be revisited later on. So team players are where they're going to be for the foreseeable time frame between now and of course January. Um, Season gets ready to start off. Of course, the summer league starts next week, or is it this week? Yeah, starts next week after the July weekend. So summer league gets ready to start, get kicked off. That's going to be going down. There's going to be plenty more conversation and talks, like I said, going forth as you get find out where Dame Lillard is going to potentially be going. I would be interested. Actually, where I like to see Dame go. I'm not going to even lie. Um, Although if LA actually, of course, the Lakers first and foremost, but or realistically, I would rather see Dame end up in San Antonio. San Antonio, in my opinion, didn't do too much in the draft. I mean, not draft in the over this course of this weekend, the course of the week, not making too many moves. So I love to see Damian Lillard in San Antonio if that was possible to pair him with or to give Victor Wembanyama some a little more help. Give a little more help to those the young young bloodline of um, what's good, drunk? I ain't seen you though, bro. So you say Dame messed up with the Blazers, would have sent messed up. The Blazers would have sent him to the Heat, but he tried to play them. Uh, so, but okay, but it's a little bit different. I think like it would be babysitting, but there's more of an opportunity. I think for him to get some wins, even though well, you might be right, drunk. You're correct. It would be the same thing. I don't think he's necessary that he's going to be babysitting rookies, but I think before prior to adding Scoot, the the rookies in San Antonio were better than the rookies in Portland. Although Simons did, Anthony Simons started to show some promise. In which now, if Dame gets sent out, is going to be Simon and Scoot Henderson show with the added emphasis on with Jeremy Grant as well as Nurkic, and so they it's not that bad. Like in state, I think Portland right now, even without Dame, is a better team still than San Antonio. Uh, but I just think to sit and give him because I really feel like there was nothing done to give Victor Wembanyama any type of help or to help him get along or edge along. We know Rudy Gay has been moved out; he's no longer there as he was traded to who was he? Who was great? Rudy Gay was traded, so he's no longer in San Antonio. So when you look at it, I really feel like they didn't give Victor Wembanyama any true help. Now he's going to struggle. If you look at it, take a look. I seen something yesterday when you look at Chet Holmgren, he came in the league 7'1", 195 pounds. In that time frame, look at him now, 7'1", 208. So he done put on some muscle. Obviously, you can see. So now Chet is going to be in competition for that Rookie of the Year for this year, along with Victor Wembanyama. Of course, with others, Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller. So it's going to be interesting, definitely, when it comes to the battle of those big men down low. But of course, um, 208 isn't enough girth to contend with a lot of the guys that are in that position. Dame to the Heat only going to excite me. You heard those down. Dame's Jazz rumor. Dame the Jazz is not going to be. You know what? Someone that's out there that Utah got ate up in this, and you know Utah has some assets, but really they can make any moves. But I'm thinking they're going to probably sit quietly and just wait to see what the lay of the land is. But I don't think to the Jazz. I don't know about Dame to the Jazz. Does that work? Putting him with Mark Cannon, um, Jordan Clarkson, he resigned. He's still in the fold with the Jazz. Um, so yes, the rumors, of course, but I think that is definitely a rumor. I think, like you said, drunk Dame to the Heat is probably going to be the move. But what is the Heat giving up? Like, what is he has to do? I don't think Kyle Lowry. If Dame goes to the Jazz, I don't think Kyle Lowry's going to stay. So he might be in the move, or like I said, the third team put into the fold so they can move Lowry. But Lowry is not going to stay. That would be crazy. That would be crazy for him to go back home, be home, and play home in or around. Well, not home. He wouldn't be home. He'd be down the street from up the coast from the home. But that would be crazy. Him, Swiper, Horter. Someone else I ain't heard nothing about, Harrison Barnes. He's still out there. So some free agents that are still out there that probably are going to end up becoming players that are going to be picked up late, or once all the dust settles, are going to be scooped up. Um, to play for these teams that's going to make these teams a little better, because there's a few out there that have not been picked up yet. DJ August, I could have sworn I seen somewhere he got picked up this morning, or he was he's on someone's squad. Excuse me. So all these are out here. Okay, all right, I didn't see that. So okay, Harrison Barnes still in full. So even better, if Dane was to go to Sacramento, which we know is not going to happen, but for the sake of conversation, go to Sacramento. Sacramento be a problem. Sacramento probably really start. It'll make it a problem in the West, of course, with the likes of Golden State, who of course Draymond Green. We know Draymond Green stayed in Golden State, given 100 million for 100 million. Um, Basically, I think that was a hometown discount with the opportunity to run it back. We know Chris Paul is there, but not much to be said or done on that when you take consideration Chris Paul being there. They did lose Dante DiVincenzo, as Dante is now in is it New York? So DiVincenzo is basically out of there. Wiggins is still there, so I mean they still have enough to be competitive in the West as far as Golden State. The up and coming Sacramento, they kept their for the most part they kept their core together, so they're probably going to come back and be there. Memphis added uh, Derrick Rose now to be probably a serviceable backup. They signed Bain. Desmond Bain just signed a extension, 206 million, I believe. Yeah, so that part, of course, drunk. DiVincenzo now connected with Hart and Jalen Bronson. It's like they got Villanova in the East, New York Knicks, Villanova going on down there. Now they have their championship squad, their top three people in the championship during their championship run. So more to see be seen there. Um, who else in the West? Memphis, like I said, added Derrick Rose. I don't know how much that's going to be. He only got a 2-year deal. But if he could come to play have any serviceability, that might be huge. Minnesota made a few moves, but I don't know if that was enough to make them that much competitive when you look at what the Lakers did, um, what Sacramento is up and coming and doing. With the loss of Dame Dash, potentially Portland is going to be on the outs, as well as that's right. Dylan Brooks also in Houston. So Houston made some moves, I think, to make them maybe not to put themselves in a top echelon, but basically, honestly, a middle of the pack type team in Houston, possibly. The Lakers, Houston. Um, I don't know about the Clippers, especially when you look at the possibility of some movements. It might be some trades to be made there. Maybe moving Trace out, that being Paul George, to bring in something. They did resign Russell Westbrook, 2 years, $8 million. So Russell was still in the fold there in LA. Still got Terrence Mann, of course Kawhi, Paul George still there. Um, so it's still some there, but I think that might, when you look at what everyone else is doing, that could potentially put the Clippers, push them down, unless we see a season where Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are locked in the whole year they're playing. Then we might see something a little bit different. So with their own big three and Russell, George, and Kawhi, um, to rival that in LA with the cross the hall mates of LeBron, AD, and I guess you could say Russell. Um, what's going on, Mike? Yes, sir. I'm good. I'm good. Glad to have your information this morning. I'm doing well. I should be seeing you in a couple of weeks. uh, and he might get moved. It might go down, and I wouldn't be surprised. But it didn't happen yet. But again, like I said, that could be a move to where that 3-team trade, where you might see something like um, Portland, Los Angeles Clippers, and Miami Heat to make some moves to make it happen. Of course, Victor. Speaking of Miami Heat, Victor Oladipo gone back to Oklahoma City. Um, yes, sir, without a doubt. So going back to Victor Oladipo going back to Oklahoma City, in which he tried to slick part, opted back in so he can make sure he has a payday. And after they opted in, the next day, a couple of days later, he was traded and moved back to Oklahoma City. And where even one, I don't know if Oklahoma City is going to keep him or if he was just a salary dump so they can get some picks and going to end up buying out his contract and putting him back on the market to where, of course, he can go play wherever he wants to. So, of course, it's strategy to this for everyone that's involved, the players and the organizations alike. But it's definitely, I think, with those moves, some of the moves may change the. I think the lay of the land in in the West in the NBA Western Conference is changed more than it has in the lay of the land in the East now. Jazz, he said 200 trays. You need 200 3 pointers up by the end of the day. But yeah, so definitely a lot going on in with that. So um, I'm kind of getting excited again for the sports. The sports, as we know, this is the last July is the last month to where there won't be any NFL football that's coming back. Pat Riley saying he refuses to include Caleb Martin in the well, I think he's looking. I think he sees an upside for Caleb Martin. That's just what it is, drunk. So, but of course, you know, what I'm saying that sounds good until someone makes the decisions like, okay, we're gonna bring him in. We're gonna go ahead and pull this trigger to bring in Dame. Is the value? I don't think Pat Riley's going to do the same thing like what was done in L.A., where we didn't pull the trigger on anything because everyone wanted Kyle Kuzma due to his upside after he was drafted late in the first round and was playing to where he potentially made himself a part of a big three in LA. Um, but I mean, instead, I guess when you look at it, out of those players that moved that year, Kyle Kuzma was probably had the most upside, or he's the one that's producing the most currently. As we know, Lonzo Ball is not expected to play yet again, to where the Chicago Bulls have requested seeking uh, a I can't think of the right term for the most part. I almost said the wrong word. A disabled player exception at this point because Ball is out yet again to where they could potentially get $10 million to sign yet another player. Um, James Harden. I don't think James Harden's in limbo for the most part. Drunk. I think what it is going to happen is James is going to end up in Philly on a short deal, or maybe he's surveying what the look where he can go. Like I don't know at this point where he's gonna go, who's holding out, but yes, he's still out there. And again, those trade possibilities. He, I mean, too late he didn't opt in, but it's these trades, so he can still, or he can do a sign and trade for the most part. A sign and trade can be done where James could be in the fold as well. So maybe James ends up in Portland. We don't know. Maybe a trade works out between Philly, Portland, and Miami. So many possibilities that's still out there to where these last few individuals that are still available could potentially go. But I'm looking at, I think the likelihood is that James might find himself back in Philly with the, you know what I'm saying, because at first it looked very um unpromising for the likes of Tyrese Maxey, but of course when you look at it, he's probably just making rules. Yes, now of course, in which that if they could have got James there earlier, maybe Dane wouldn't be talking about he want to go, or even technically, honestly, they don't have to trade him. Like they can still potentially bring James and let Dane play out. So instead is I think we get caught up with the fact of a player saying he wants to leave and he wants to go somewhere and he doesn't want to be a part of the organization. We get caught up with that. It's like, oh man, they're gonna move him, and say, I ain't got a contract. I ain't got to move you nowhere. Now you can try some stuff. You can do what you want to do, but instead, I don't have to do anything with you except for a wait. Like you can still be signed to me and not play and not get paid. We don't pay you. I'm not losing that. and then we go on from there. So, but the possibility of that possibility, like that's the key word. The drunk you said is yet. I think it's just a strategy that they're gonna pay Tyrese Maxey. I don't know if they're gonna max him out at the for the exception that 260 million, but I think he's gonna get extended, and I think it's more so they're trying to see what's going on with the rest of their roster first. They're making those moves, and then after that, go ahead and offer him those extension. Um, so I definitely think that's what's in play here. It's just they're waiting. Um, so of course, like I said, James Harden's still out there. Who are some other big age free agents? Some names that's out there. Um, opt in. Tired. Joe Ingles, he's now in Orlando, so he moves on to Orlando. That may make a difference, maybe coming off. I wonder if he's going to come off the bench. Um, who else? Any other big names? Just speak on real quick before we move on. Like I said, Kyle Kuzma, he resigned. He's staying in Washington. Jack Liddell, we spoke about. He's gone. He's in Phoenix. Brook Lopez resigns to stay in Minnesota. Milwaukee. Kenny Martin traded to the Clippers. We spoke of that. Tyrese Halliburton did get paid a veteran. A deal extension deal. So it's like all those the young talent got what they needed. Now they're secure. They're locked in now. Shake Milton, he leaves. So that's another person that's Philly. Shake Milton's now in Minnesota. So there's a lot of room. Chris Middleton did end up re-signing with the Milwaukee Bucks. So him and Giannis Antetokounmpo remain the only players from that when they was drafted that's still on the roster um, in Milwaukee. Not George Niang, as we know, he moved on, he signed with Cleveland, so he leaves 76ers. So right there alone, that Shake Milton gone from Philly. Um, George Niang gone from Philly. So what is the plan for Philly to do any replacements? And that might be that, of course, like you said, James Harden still remains in the balance. So that might be coming up with some movements as they get ready to make some moves and probably get into a 3-team, 4-team trade to make something happen to probably bring back some talent for them. Of course, Kyrie Irving, he remains in Dallas. So we not gonna do him like that. He good. He good. He got a mulligan. Drunk. He's got a mulligan. He can't. But don't come with that BS. That's what we're not gonna do. But I think he's gonna be good. I think he's gonna go there to be a distributor. Low. Basically do what he did late for Miami. So I think Gabe's gonna be all right. He has a short leash. I think what is crazy to me is, as I go through and continue to look at that, what is crazy to me is the whole Austin Reeves phenomenon in LA, in a sense. So of course, I don't take nothing from Austin Reeves. I like this game, um, but to be considered the third option with the players that was on the roster, and now he's been signed back for just under a little more than 10 million, over $10 million. Um, Let Dennis Schroeder go to keep him, of course. Right, you had Tamara is in the fold in LA, so that is the crazy part. Like I wonder now, is Austin Reeves the third option in LA with D'Angelo Russell there? Does D'Angelo Russell have something to say about that? Like, what is going to be the temperature now in LA, and how are they going to handle that? Like, So yes, definitely. Of course, the rumor was that San Antonio was going to pay to get him, but I think it comes down to I think more comes down to where he wanted to be at, or maybe the market that was supposed to be out there for him, no one offered him. Or like we don't know the background grumblings of what teams came when it was asking and what they tried to offer him, and if he Bessie turned them down to stay in LA. But or maybe there wasn't that much of a off. Maybe he is more set. Maybe it's one of those situations that he is definitely um, keen to stay in LA. It was better set for him than anywhere else. As we've seen, there was a lot of stuff tossed out there saying that he probably was going to get X amount of money, that the Lakers could only pay him X amount of dollars. Um, and it hasn't happened yet. Of course, Christian Wood, that's another one that's still out there. He hasn't re-signed. Grant Williams got a qualifier offer. He was supposed to be going. Kobe White re-signed with the Chicago Bulls, but Christian Wood, I foresee he's probably going to end up staying in Dallas. As I was getting ready to say earlier, Kyrie Irving re-signs. He's in Dallas. Now they get to put together, him and Luka Doncic get to put together a game plan. Jason Kidd gets to put together a game plan to see what it's going to get. Yeah, for real. That I wouldn't mind having him in a Lakers uniform. So it's still some people that's out there that if you look at it, James Harden, Christian Wood, um, what was a couple names I see where if they can go and probably be a middle tier team if they was put in that type of position. Who else is out there? Scottie Pippen Jr. Yeah. Well, Wood and Dallas, they just drafted this. They drafted two big bodies, Lively and who was that? Prosper, I think it is. So maybe Christian Wood can be on the out leaving, or maybe Christian Wood stays because and they give um Lively a chance to kind of like build himself. Yes, and so so it's more for him to build on. Maybe it wasn't up for him to be that person in those starting lines, but I think he held Houston down when he was in Houston. He got to Dallas, and of course he's playing with Lucas, so we know how that goes. So I think that was more so the case. But I think yes, they did resign Dwight Powell, so maybe Christian Wright, maybe Christian Wood is on the outs. Maybe he's going to someone else is going to scoop him. Dennis Smith in Brooklyn. Uh, it was something I just saw that I wanted to touch on. Oh, Max Struess in Cleveland. So what we have is when you look at it, the whole squad, right? The whole squad that was paramount in helping the Miami Heat get to their conference, the NBA's finals, has been dismantled. Gabe Vincent in LA, Max Struess now in Cleveland. Uh, They still have Caleb Martin. He's still in Miami. Of course, Bam is there. Um, Jimmy Buckets is there. Uh, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson currently there. So there's and that could be made. So maybe that could be the move in which Dame might be looking to displace. As I continue to say, um, Kyle Lowry. That's probably who's running point unless they can get a Dame Dash. Like, and so it comes back to that: is Miami the destination for Lillard? Is that where it's going to go down? Is that how? Is that where the cookie crumbles and puts them in position to where now um, Damian Lillard is running the point guard? Uh, does Kyle Lowry get shipped out back to Portland? I mean, into Portland. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, some draft picks straight up for a Dame, or do they make moves where potentially like it's? I think I'm very sure the reason why it's a little quiet on that front is due to the fact of people are trying to make moves. They're trying to put together the best possible possibility. Um, Nikola Vucevic, another one, Chicago, staying put in Chicago, resigned. Morris Wagner, he stays in Orlando. Um, so the young youth movement is going on in Orlando, as well as keeping some of their top players together. So is there ever? So that's a good point, Coach Daniel. But is there ever? Is that too much? Are they the exact type of player, or oh, you know what? You might be Simons when you have Scoot. But is that would that be too much? Fill out his roster. Going to the pickup games, like, hey, you ever thought of playing in the NBA? But I mean, if anyone's like that, Pat is the person to do it. But do you think that's too much, Coach Paris? Like, would you really not want Tyler Hero? I don't think they're the exact type of player. Simons might have a little bit more upside. I mean, up or maybe a higher ceiling than Tyler Hero, or maybe have we seen the ceiling for Tyler Hero? Could Tyler Hero, if he had started from the beginning of the series, could he have made a difference versus Denver? Would that have been someone else for them to have to pay attention to until he showed that he couldn't do anything in the series? Like, okay, skills would duplicate. You would need a win more than anything. Correct. Here, there's nothing to one on one in the floor. Okay, I got you. No defense. Can't play defense. Just offensive mind. It's streaky in a sense, in my opinion. I really honestly think that I really foresee a 3 to 14 trade. I don't think it's going to be a head up for Dame. I think it's going to be a 3 to 14 trade. It's just a matter of who the third or 14th would be in correlation to that, and that player that team is going to get the player from there. There's going to be some willing and dealing potentially certain situations to where someone may have to do a sign and trade. But I think it's going to be for Dame to get to even Miami or Brooklyn. There's going to definitely be a multiple team trade, and where it's going to be some other players that's going to go. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest transactions for the year is going to be wherever or however Dame gets out of or Portland into whatever organization. But I continue to say he requested the trade. That doesn't mean he gets the trade. Taking yeah, they keep Grant. Yes. So is that, and then they have to keep Grant. At least they have to keep Grant till January. So if Jeremy Grant ends up getting moved, he won't be moved until January time frame. In which at that point it'll basically be at the trade before the trade deadline to where they have to make some move. Or that could be the move too. They could just continue to hold on to him and be like, if it's not working, to go on and move on from him. Once you see how the season starts to line up and see what how players are playing certain places and see if they want to make any moves. But yeah, it's going to be 3 or 4 definitely without a doubt. Fred Van Fleet to Houston, huge contract, 120 million. Um, what else? What else? I wonder. I wonder if that was the case and why it would be. But because it seemed like honestly, drunk. Now you bring that up, it seemed like as soon as they resigned Jeremy Grant, he was like, "Man, I'm out of here." It's like, so I don't know. That could be it. That could have been the bait and switch. He played the game, but now he's in the crosshairs. Um, who else? Was there anything really that was too? Yes. So at this point, I'm not too. Uh, I'm pretty good, and just like we all saying, waiting to see what happens with the rest. Is Paul George? That's the next question for me. Is Paul George going to be moved? Is he out of uh, L.A.? I doubt he is. I really think they're going to look to try to run that back with the possibility of having Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and Kawhi Leonard with the full year, um, a lot of rest. We got to look at we're basically in July now. The season starts back up in October. So we're going to see how that spans out. They have a little time to kind of sit and get some rest and go play. I don't foresee any of them. I don't see any of them going to play. Excuse me, I'm so excuse me. Excuse me. I don't foresee any of them going to play uh, in the Olympics this year. That being Kawhi Leonard or Kawhi or uh, PG going to play in the Olympics this year. So that you have that. If they were, I strongly advise against it. Like, just sit down and get your rest. Yes, Van Fleet in Houston drafted. So I don't know if Amin Thompson is going to play the point guard. I mean, he might serve it because it would make no sense to draft Van Fleet for him to be not to play. He's definitely not playing point guard. I mean, he might, like you said, he might be the best point guard drafted in the draft, but Amin is not. He's of course coming off the bench. Obviously, if Fred Van Fleet is there in Houston, ain't no way in hell they paid 120 million to this man, and he's gonna come off the bench. Um, so now it's interesting how they move around. Like I think Houston's about to be a problem for real. Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Fred Van Fleet, Seguin, and Jabari Smith might be their starting five. So Green. And then you got Amin Thompson coming off the bench. Trying to turn up was like, hey, it's been a long time. I ain't been out here. Let's turn up. But I think it's gonna pay off for them, coach. I really do. I think it's gonna pay off for Houston. I think Houston is gonna do good things now. Of course, they're there. Jeff Green off the bench, that veteran's presence. So Jeff Green, Amin Thompson, um, who else did I just say coming off the bench to contribute? Oh yeah, I think Houston, like I said, I think Houston is going to be a six or five, six, anywhere between 5 and 7 seed. Um, well, 8 seed, I'll give them that, which means they're a playing team. Or well, not saying that they're a playing team that they're going to, but I mean that's what it's going to be because that's what the lay of the land is. But I think they're like a just middle of the pack. Definitely, without a doubt, drunk is like Fred Van Fleet is there just to feel that top six. So you don't think so, Coach Daniels? I don't know. I think they're. I'm trying to look at the like Mavericks. Don't scare me. I think Mavericks is going to be is going to be struggling, continue to struggle, fight. I don't think the Mavericks turn around this quick. I think it's like 2 years that they're gonna need before Luka and Kyrie can really like lock in they're they're because they still there's a lot of teams that in my opinion still lack defense, and still lack shooting. So he said no, but my office is open. So okay, top six. What six is better than the look of Houston right now? Of course, Denver. We got it. We Denver, Sacramento. I give that. Um, the Lakers got better. Golden State. I think they might be able to push Golden State at this point. Um, did Memphis get better? Or with Ja Morant sitting out 25 games, is that going to make a difference? Sacramento might be better. But you got Christian Brown coming off the bench, so I think that's going to be a backup. It is going to be the Wild Wild West. What's good, Coach Dave? So I think I don't know. Now, when I think about it, Nuggets, Lakers, Kings, Golden State, Clippers, Grizzlies. I think the Clippers are going to be under. The Clippers is a hard one in my opinion, Coach, because like I just stated, we don't know who we're getting in the LAC, in the LA Clippers. Clearly, of course, Kawhi Leonard being there makes a difference. Uh, Kawhi Leonard being there, as well as Paul George being there, makes a difference in LA. If they ain't playing, if one of them ain't playing, if one of those ain't playing, the Clippers is not going to be that team in which you can insert Houston. And then someone I even think about who, because they ain't made a lot of noise, ain't do anything. But when he plays, that being Zion Williamson, is the Portland the New Orleans Pelicans. So, but right now I give you Nuggets, Lakers, the Kings, the Grizzlies. I don't know, Golden State. I really think Houston might fall into this Marcus Smart in Memphis. Okay, I forgot Marcus Smart is in Memphis, but is that enough though? Is Marcus Smart enough to keep them afloat in state? Is Smart and Rose, Bain, Jackson, Tillman? Is that going to be enough? I mean, I like the game of Lofton Jr. and he's there. Is that going to be enough to keep them afloat? Uh, Kings, Memphis, Kings, Nuggets clearly. Although Nuggets might be suspect, I don't know. But Nuggets, Kings, Suns, Memphis, Golden State, and Sleeper Pelicans with Zion playing. I stand corrected. Phoenix, forgot about Phoenix. That's close. You're so right, Coach. Um, yeah, Phoenix. So if you shift that, you got Nuggets, Suns, Kings. I don't know about Golden State. If Zion's playing, definitely Pelicans, the Lakers. So Coach may be exactly right. They're probably just on the cusp of that, 6 or 7. But of course, we know this number 6. The 6 is the sweet number in which people got to get into, and that's basically what it is. You want to be in that top 6. You don't want to be in one of the bottom 4, because what we're looking at is if you're one of the bottom 4, you can basically be bounced out because it's any given just a win, 1 or 2 wins. So definitely want to be in the top 6 at this point. And during this off season, clearly you're looking at Denver, Phoenix. I would even say Sacramento. Um, Golden State, LA. That's 5. And maybe in my opinion, I'm looking at a toss up between the Clippers and the Clippers and the I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so Clippers will be a bottom 4. You know what, Marcus? I I agree with you. But again, that's only if, and again, I would say that that's only if Kawhi and Paul George aren't locked in. If they're not playing, then yes, Clippers are going to be a bottom. They're going to be at the bottom. They're going to be 8 through 10, or hell, they might just miss the playoffs altogether. Because I don't think Russell Westbrook is going to be able to hold that team together like that, especially in what is now a tighter team. Golden switch Golden State for Timberwolves. I think Anthony Edwards has a huge year. I believe Edwards does have a huge year drunk, but I don't know if it'll be enough. I don't even know if they'll be able to continue with that. Coach Hollins and Coach Daniel, Clippers are a bottom 14. The Clippers is a tough sell, man. In my opinion, like we all know Kawhi and George is the reason for the season, and if neither one of them, I mean, they just got KJ Martin, so that might so they might be able to build something with a youth movement, but I don't know. I just don't know. Said Kawhi will play just enough games, and PG is PG. Woo. Collins, he said he got a 50 on it that they're not a bottom 14. I just watched Kawhi say I'm good in the playoff series. They could win. Clippers over. I'm not too sold yet on that is saying going in knowing I have to see that. That's just going to be in my opinion. Oh, solidified. I just think it has to be one of those things you have to wait to see, but that's a tough sell. You gotta, and it's not even to say that okay when they start out because yes they always start out at the beginning of the season playing to where they're above their top four in the West, and then by the end of the season they're jostling for 6 or 7 or something like that. Is you just don't know. Okay, coach, young fan mouth. I like the action. Coach Holland said that's easy money. So you see it here first. What they got on the line. Clippers will be a above 500, above, top 14, above, won't finish, correction, will not finish in the final four as the last four in the West, being, what's that, 7, 8, 9, I mean, 7, 8, 9, or 10. So basically, the Clippers won't be in the play in. Again, when we talk about the Clippers, and you know what, Coach Hollis, I can almost agree with you on that, and that's what I was about to say. We don't, but again, so it's definitely to me a double-edged sword because yes, no, the Clippers did not get better in the offseason. That I agree with that, but still, the offseason still going, and we still know James Harden is out there. There's a couple of people that's out there, but in my opinion, no, the Clippers did not get better in the offseason, but they may have enough on their squad if again Kawhi Leonard and Paul George play their game. They may not. They may have enough to where they don't need anything outside of that. So that's the conversation, and that's the issue. That's the problem. We don't know what we get with the Clippers because they're not when they're playing. So they're definitely above. They're a top 16 if they're playing. If those two guys are playing, everything if everyone's going. Especially now they added they now that they added shooters shoot the Spurs might sneak in the bottom three too. I don't know about that, Coach Hollis. I don't know. It's nothing in, and that's another team, in my opinion, that did not get better during this offseason. I mean, they got better, but they didn't make themselves competitive during the offseason, and that's the San Antonio Spurs. So definitely the Spurs, in my opinion. Um, right now, if I was to say, I think the Spurs you know what? I'm not gonna say any more about that. I'm just gonna leave that there because it's too much of a what ifs. The what ifs. Is it fair to say that every team in the East got better to where it put everyone in a stalemate, or is it someone that you think didn't do much and were very quiet and haven't built anything? Did New York? Did the Knicks get better? Did Brooklyn get better? Cleveland made a couple of moves. I really honestly think did Milwaukee get better by the just by or even because there was more so when we talk about the bigger names, there was more so of a situation to where teams just basically solidifying themselves to where they were initially. Pop still tanking, he need two more players. I tell you, that one player is in Portland, but like we said earlier, that's probably not going to happen. But nah, so yes, Portland still need. I mean, San Antonio definitely still needs other players. But is there other teams in the East that have gotten better? Is there did Brooklyn not taking 2 first rounds for Dorian Finney-Smith last season? Going to haunt them. I with Bridges and Jackson. I mean Johnson, Cam Bridges. You still got Claxton still there. Um, we know they lost shooting in Harris and Curry. So Milwaukee, of course, yes, but they didn't. They lost Ingles. They kept Lopez. They brought back Middleton. Picked up some good draft picks. Milwaukee might have, and like I said, I think a lot of people. The only person I definitely think didn't do anything to help themselves was yes, Royce O'Neal's there too. I think the only team that didn't do anything to help themselves really was Philly. But again, I keep on reiterating the season off season is still fluid, and we haven't seen anything locked in on James Harden yet. For the most part, we still got you. Hell, we can even see a potential where Tobias Harris might get moved. Like it's still some possibilities out there. It's just not what is evident that is out there. James Harden, always a conversation about Tobias Harris as he gets closer and closer to what is probably continued an expiring contract where someone might go ahead and make a move on it, get him in there, extend them a little bit to lighten their load, or that could be something which you could do in Phoenix. I mean, in Philadelphia. But out of all those teams, I think Philadelphia is a team that didn't in the East that didn't really make anything happen. So drunk is, and I have said this always about the Lakers, right? I think we can find the talent, we get the talent, but we don't keep the talent. Like look at everyone that has Hart, L.A. gone. Now look at him. Kuzma, L.A. gone. Look at him. Although I hate to say it, Randall, L.A. gone. Look at him. Ivica Zubac, gone. LA, gone. Look at him. Like these players, Thomas Bryant for a second. We literally see him twice. He brought him back and sent him back on about his way, in which he has a possibility. Kyle Kuzma, the only one that which they, Jordan Clarkson. Like all these players have been in being a part of LA at one point and another, and now that they have started to build and stuff and make the name for themselves in other organizations, in which we have in some areas struggled in that. Now, of course, Alex Caruso. Now, well, he's in the fold. Austin Reeves is still there. So it's been like it's rough out there when you take a look at that. Look at these players that's going to be productive in other places. Of course, Bryant goes and get him a ring um, in Denver. So we'll see, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, we get back to that. Get back to it. Get another dub before LeBron goes because I honestly think LeBron is going to leave LA next year, and we're gonna it's going to be a whole. Then LA is going to be the topic next off season because we're going to be looking at replacing LeBron James. He's going to opt out and going to go somewhere else because his son, quote unquote, may be drafted by that time frame, and expect he's probably going to depend on what the lay of the land is and who he's drafted by that time. Maybe it's option where LeBron go ahead and opt out, so he can go into free agency, or of course he can opt out and always be resigned by LA again. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe he opts out and signs for the veteran minimum, so and be wherever his son is going to be at. So that remains to be seen. What goes on, but that's upcoming. And we're still a full year or so away from that. And who's to say if Bronny would even uh, leave after his first year? See if that's going to go on. Maybe the USC has a great season, and they might just him and Collier and company might decide to run it back. You know what? I didn't even know if that's the case. I didn't even know that realize that happened, and that is huge. Darius Garland, if they put him on the block, that is huge. And why would they even do that? Where they gonna expect Spider to run to go the offense to go through him? I think the tandem of Garland and Mitchell is pretty formidable, and they would want to keep that as opposed to do anything different. So I would hope that that's just or it could be just a situation to probably bring in somebody. Maybe it's a swing. Now that Damon Lillard is in the fold, I'm very sure a lot of teams are looking and seeing what the possibility is. But of course, we'll see. No, but well, I get it, but wasn't Damon wasn't Brunson? I'm not Brunson. Wasn't Garland coming off a couple of injuries? And wasn't there a lack of somebody in? So yes, Jalen Brunson, I mean, can go, but I just don't know if it's if from the aspect of the team and the chemistry for Cleveland. I don't know would that be me as a GM. I don't know if I'll be looking at that at this point for Garland in reference to Garland. Because Garland was someone who wasn't seen. We didn't see him coming. So that's another, like we just talk about the development of talent. Darius Garland was another one of those, in my opinion, where we didn't see him coming. You expect him to be who he is, and that's who he, and yet here we are. Because Cleveland was more so on my man from Alabama. That was in Utah. What's his name? It slips me at this time. Because they're shopping. Utah is shopping him around now. Hell, it slips my It's just my tongue at this time. But yeah, Darius Garland was not that person supposed to be that person. So I would say that playing putting him on the block wouldn't be surprised because it's business. It's all business. Not Markkanen. Markkanen's not going nowhere. He's that team guard. Oh man, he played for University of Alabama. He was a player that put up all them points when Alabama was down to 3 or 4 players on. Uh, he was a top draft pick when he was drafted. Colin Sexton, yes, that's it. Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton was supposed to be the dude in Cleveland, and Darius Garland had just happened to be picked up. But when Colin Sexton went down, the injury, Garland showed that he can play. Yeah, was Utah shopping him now? He was. I just seen the other day where they had him on the block. But he was supposed to be that man in which Darius Garland was supposed to play second fiddle to him, but Garland showed that he was productive, and then of course Sexton's injuries didn't help, and so that's where how Garland is where he is now. But I really think that Garland is probably better suited to be in. Well, he's probably a plug and play anywhere, but I think him in Cleveland is probably better for his career right now, especially bringing in a couple of things. So hopefully, uh, they keep him and don't move him, unless it's a sweet deal. Of course, always it's always about deals. Clarkson, and that's why I was just saying he's another player, a former LA player that showed promise, and we released and thought about getting back a couple of times. So like I said, teams are going to be different, and that's another team, Utah, but they're probably going to be at the bottom tier. I don't know if they're going to compete, but they probably don't have enough. Minnesota, Dame and Spider would be a crazy mix. So what is interesting, right, is the fact that OKC. That's about. Oh, you know what, Marcus? I'll give you that. OKC. OKC might Clippers. OKC might finish over the Clippers when you look at what they got going on. I with SGA Giddy. You might see that now. Holgren's coming back in the fold. You might be right. Coach Hollins. You might be right. I'll give you that. That is someone that got lost in translation. I'm not saying they're a top 16, but they're definitely. I think there's someone that can push the Clippers. Even maybe Minnesota. They might be on paper, not even just on paper right now. That could going off of how they played last year. They can probably be one of those teams. It's 8 slots. I mean, technically 10 slots, but bottom four, they might be a bottom four team. But as of one of those bottom four teams, they might be one of those teams that can push said teams like the Clippers out of it right now. If they had to go one on one, a one game winner takes all series, OKC could probably get that done, especially if Kawhi Leonard and Paul George aren't present. So definitely that OKC. Utah, I think, is a volunteer team. I think that's unfortunate. San Antonio, I think, is a volunteer team. Portland is a volunteer team. So already you're looking at Portland. I think Portland doesn't get into the playoffs this year, especially with the loss if Dame Lillard moves on. But of course, depending on who comes in, because it could be enough type talent that can put them in a position to where it's a bunch of mediocre type players that might mesh well enough to get them in some games against a team that is lacking their star power, i.e., the Lakers or the Clippers or um, who's another one of those type teams. Lakers, Clippers that might have some injuries that is going to diminish the the team's ability to compete really. So it's out there probably, but definitely Suns is up, Denver is up, Sacramento is up, or well, Golden State might be another one of those teams too. So yeah, I'm still on the bubble when it comes to Minnesota, Memphis, the Clippers. Um, so yeah, so it's definitely going to be. But back to what you were talking about in Cleveland, drunk. It's interesting, like we said, the where Philadelphia offered up Tobias Harris from Evan Mobley, and who's what's the center in Cleveland? Mobley and Jared Allen for Tobias Harris. That was interesting. And what you actually said, I don't foresee them even for someone like Dame Lillard. I don't foresee Cleveland coming off that because they want to keep that youth moving in. And even Mobley probably has more of a ceiling, even so more of a ceiling. I don't foresee them moving on him right now. I think if they're going to move on him, it'll be he'll have to have fell off a little bit, and they have to look at like they can get something in return for him before they have to look to offering him an extension. So I think Mobley for right now is safe. I don't know who would be someone they would bring in the fold right now to say they would move on Evan Mobley. So he's safe right now, I think, in my opinion. Uh, what we got news going on when we look at in the NFL. So we know, like I was saying earlier, July is the last month in which there's no NFL action going on. Of course, we get into the month of August. We start seeing the preseason games. We start seeing the games coming on with the college games. So right now, if I was to say, let's take a look at who potentially has the tightest runs in the division. Clearly and concisely, I believe that the weakest and the most the wackest division is going to probably be the NFC South. That with Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa Bay um, in it. I think I've said before, and I'll say it again. I believe that the New Orleans Saints wins that division. Carolina, that's who else is in there. Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. I believe New Orleans wins that division. That's just the truth, Marcus. That's going to be the weakest division. Stop it, Marcus. There is no way possible Tampa Bay is by 2 games too. Oh, stop it, Marcus. Come on, fam. There's no way in hell Tampa is winning that division. I think that division belongs. I would even give Carolina the second. If it's not New Orleans, it's Tampa. Y'all got talent. I just don't agree with who's at the helm. Baker Mayfield. I don't know. Baker Mayfield, nah. I believe that too, drunk. NFC South goes through New Orleans. I believe that tenfold. NFC South goes to it's this. I think the South is New Orleans to lose. Tampa might have to surprise me in order for me to even think. But I yes, they have talent there, but it's like who's at the helm, who's the head of that organization. I don't know if that's going to be if Baker Mayfield is suitable enough. Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, that's where he at. True, Derek Carr isn't much better, but I think his the weaponry which he has around, which could be the same said uh for um for Tampa, I just don't think it's going to work. I really so, or maybe I have it wrong. Maybe by default they would be the competitive due to the fact of their gouging and cutting each other up. But I really think that that's where, if I was to put any onus on it, I think that would be of the divisions, of the four divisions. I think that would be the division in which is like ain't much going on there, or it may be the most deciding division because it's like they're cutting each other up. I think Atlanta is going to be on the backs on the bottom of that or the division. I think it's going to be. I honestly believe it's going to be New Orleans, uh, New Orleans, Carolina, Tampa, Atlanta in the NFC West. I mean NFC South. That's what I think. I see where Drunk says NFC West outside of San Francisco. Um, I don't know. Tampa Bay was tragic. Without Tom Brady, it's going to be worse with Baker, and I think potentially it could be. That's what I'm saying. But then again, like from what Marcus was saying, not to sit up and downplay Baker Mayfield. He may get. He's going to have weapons. He's got Evans. He said, "Oh, Atlanta over Carolina." I don't know. Especially, you know what? I would give you that. Well, not Atlanta over Carolina. I would give at this point, based on what Marcus was talking about, I'll give Tampa the slight edge over Carolina in the second race. I just think Atlanta's going to be the bottom dweller, and that's not saying that they're going to be horrible because for all they know, they could be 3-3-3. Every team can go 3-3 in the league. It's just that Atlanta gets beat out, but it's just I think Atlanta is going to end up finishing last in the division, or for the most part. Carolina is going to push it. I think what's going to really turn the tables if Carolina could get their hands on someone like uh, D Hop to bring in to be a wide receiver help to assist and give them some added veteran power at the receiver. I think that can make those can make a difference. So, but I can see how what you're saying, drunk and giving like. So I still you might be actually onto something there, because it's just going to be a question of what type of help is going to be there for for Bryce Young. Uh, he got an all right running back room. Not so much in the receiving portion of it, but it should be something to make it work. But adding someone like a Hopkins might just push them over to where they might be a little more competitive in the league. Moving in and talking like I see where, like I said, Drunk talked about the NFC West. So again, this is another thing. I look at NFC, the 49ers right now. Of course, they're my squad, but I also look at them being trying to keep it in the mindset of what we got and knowing what is there. The whole conference is a toss up right now, in my opinion. Of course, you have Geno Smith, who was a comeback player of the year last year, who played pretty good last year, but we don't know what we're getting. You know, what I'm saying, was that a fluke, or are we getting the same Geno Smith? If we're getting the same Geno Smith, then we might sit up and have you might have a competition going on. On the flip side of that, the same thing remains to be said about the Los Angeles Rams with Cooper Cup and Matthew Stafford both coming off injury laden years, being out the whole season. Did they add a year to that? Are they going to be served, or do they pick up where they last left off at? Is there going to be the Cam Akers back in the is back in the fold? Sony Michelle back in the fold. Um, where do we have that at? San Francisco, Purdy. Lance, Darnold, we don't know for the most part. It still has to be seen how that's going to go. Again, no different from what I just talked about in with what's my man Geno Smith in Seattle. Is that the same conversations I have of reference to Brock Purdy? Was it that, of course, what always happens, right? And we cannot remove this. What always happens is there's always, whenever we have a quarterback that comes into the league and basically lights it a fire, for the most part, there's a drop off the following year because now people have had an opportunity to go back and look at the game tape and figure out how to play them. And then the next year, it's a little bit different. They might say that they're trash the next year. It's just they're not doing the same type of things because people have figured them out, and then they have to go back and do it. So it has happened with Patrick Mahomes. He has been the most efficient with doing it, as well as, in my opinion, for the most part, probably um, Joe Burrow. To where now that's probably going to get Joe Burrow paid. Jalen Hurts, it got him paid. So now it's different. But now we come back next year. Additionally, um, that might be the only person that's going to be trash in that conference is the Arizona Cardinals. But yeah, Jalen Hurts is played differently. Brock Purdy is going to be played differently. Um, Geno Smith is probably going to be played differently. So it's going to be now it's up to all those people, the people in those rooms, to now put it together so that way they can continue to ascend. And of course, when I look at it, I said before when I talked to Bishop on the show, is that going to make a difference? Is the lack of having the same coordinator going to make a difference when it comes down to um is that going to make a difference when it comes down to that in with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles? It just might. Drunk asked the question: is Brock is Purdy locked in at number one? From what I see, Sammy Boy is pushing the envelope to get to make it hard for Brock. So maybe Sam Darnold, due to the fact that Brock is still recovering, we need to really be able to see what Brock looks like from that throwing elbow. It might make a difference. You said the list says that they're currently like the Rams and the Cardinals at 31. I don't doubt it, but like I said, I think it really depends on where we at with Stafford and Cup coming back in, and if they have some help for Cup on the other side, or hell, we've seen to where Cup didn't need help. He torched the NFL at some point. So if they get back to that, I don't put the Rams out yet. Um, and so because they're my team, drunk, I'm not going to say that. But what we're starting to see here is maybe the 49ers might have went with the wrong pick at that in being Trey Lance. I honestly, what I did wish I had hoped for is when they said when they moved up to the third. I really, really, really thought they was going to pick up Justin Fields, but maybe they didn't because they was looking at they want something another creation in that, um, or maybe they looked at okay, we want more of a body type that of a Cam Newton s type, because I just didn't agree with the fact that there wasn't much game tape as well as experience and repetition out there on Trey Lance. But but of course everyone wants to get a chance, and I wanted to, of course, when they selected Trey Lance, I was like, well, give him an opportunity. But in the 3 seasons which he's been in the NFL, this being the third, I think, yes, this being the third, really hasn't been much he has done. And so, but of course, we got to take in consideration he was sitting behind Jimmy Garoppolo. And then after sitting behind Jimmy Garoppolo, he gets his chance and then he gets injured. And then Jimmy Garoppolo taps back in. But he was injured the whole year. So he got at some point he has to get his chance, I'm sure. But of course, it's about the business, and right now it makes business sense. Of course, I'm very sure in the background there's probably been calls and trying to see if teams are interested in Trey Lance. I think Yeah, it's his third year. Third year. His first year he played behind Jimmy. Second year he was supposed to. He had it at the helm. He got injured. Jimmy took over. He got injured. Brock took over, and now Brock is looking better than Trey Lance. But again, there's not much for Brock to go for anyone to go off of because Trey Lance really didn't play much in college, and he hasn't had a true opportunity in the NFL. So that's where we have it at. But I mean, when you look at trying to get these wins, uh, I think it comes down to exactly what we're talking about, and that's what saying. Sam Darnold drafted number 3 in his draft, same year that Baker Mayfield was drafted number 1. So you got to take in consideration Sam Darnold is, but also Sam Darnold had more reputations in college. Sam Darnold has had more reputations in the NFL. He's serviceable. He got brought in as a backup. Now he's a backup with a potential opportunity to at least keep the seat warm, like Jimmy Garoppolo ass type situation. And it might be that to where if he's got the seat, if he's cooking in the seat, there's no use in removing him from the top head chef position. Let him go ahead and cook until he's not anymore, and then you bring in that high speed sous chef that's been chomping at the bit to get in. So that's just what it is. It's unfortunate for Trey Lance possibly, but I'm very sure there might be some packages put together just to kind of keep him hot and keep him engaged. But it's probably going to be a situation where someone's going to probably lose a quarterback and they're going to either serve a quarterback or a backup and enter a trade that moves Trey Lance. And they get some compensation back for it. Maybe second or third round pick. They're not getting a first round pick, I'm sure, especially if they haven't seen any upside. I'm sorry, what were you saying? Drunk checks packed up. Zach Wilson. Sometimes you just gotta, yeah. But I mean, that was a well, but there was tape on Wilson though. That's the difference. There was some out there on Wilson where you knew, saying what you were getting based upon the competition, and he played at BYU. Who were they really playing? So they took a gag. I mean, they took a swing on him. They didn't work out. Now he's sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. That's the only reason they're probably packing it up because he's behind Aaron Rodgers now. So, with that being said, hopefully he sits back there and he learns a little something and he's going to be able to even one be a good backup somewhere else with that tutelage or sitting behind him long enough where he gets opportunity to get back into the seat again. If it's be a situation where Aaron Rodgers goes down, he'll have an opportunity to come back around and show that he can play, and then go back to the bench when Aaron Rodgers comes back, and now he has created a market for himself. So, like I said, I honestly had wished that they had picked the Fields as opposed to Trey Lance, but I mean, in any case, we'll see. Um, but again, going back into some of the those like we were talking about, what is the feeling when it comes to the NFC North? You got Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago. I think that's almost in the comparison of what we was just talking about with the NFC South for the most part, to where it could probably be one of those divisions where teams are going to knock each other or going to get into each other's pockets and going to really sit up and making the problem for themselves in that division. Looking at it, I think Chicago got better in the offseason, so it could be a situation to where they can push the line for it. But Detroit has been knocking on the door. Now, of course, with the little situation where they lost a couple of players due to the fighting, but I don't know about that. Or I don't know. So you got Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, but now you have added Madison that's at the helm in the backfield. Kevin Kevin I mean cousin Kirk Cousins is still at the quarterback. I don't know if I would put Vikings though. Packers, I think is going to right now. I would think Packers, based on what we've seen of Love in the past. I think Packers are at the bottom. I will say that. Um, but the Vikings, Lions, and Bears, just for the simple fact to give them their flowers, I would put the Lions at the front of that group. I think Lions go to the front of that group uh, clearly. And then after that, it might be, I say Lions. You know what? I will go with a complete Lions, Bears, Vikings, Packers is my take on that. Lions, Bears, Vikings, Packers in that division. In which I honestly think that is going to be, like I said, I don't think it's a snooze fest. I think they're going to really, really go at it and get into it when it comes down to it, to where it's going to be a lot going on, and we're going to see that the competition levels are going to be mirroring one another. It's going to be in these games. Bears over Vikings. Yes, I think Hurts. I mean Hurts. I think Fields is going to have what he needs now in the with the Mooney and the Moores and the Kimmets and the Gasecki's and everything. I think they are, but I don't know. I don't know if the Vikings are going to have what it takes. And he might, and that's probably it. He's probably going to be out, so he's probably looking. He's looking shaky, as like you said, the rumors, and that's what it is. So maybe depending on, but who is pushing him in the back, and of course that's the difference. Uh, the difference is who is if Chase Poole is looking tragic, then who behind him is looking like a gym, polished gym. That's going to be the difference. And so going with that going forth, that's what's going to make the difference. Like if there's no one pushing Chase Claypool, then he's going to get an opportunity to get in there, and then he has an opportunity to make the difference in state. If someone's pushing him, then it's going to definitely is going to be like, oh snap. Well, we this is what's going on. We're going to have to make some moves and put and even release him or get somebody else in there. So yes, and DJ Moore, of course, there. So that's why I say Chicago definitely over the Vikings. I mean, but just Justin Jefferson is considered probably to be one of the better players in the NFL right now. But and they added Jordan Addison, just 2 years removed from the Biletnikoff Award in the college. Um, TJ Hawkinson is now in Minnesota, so I mean, we could possibly be anything for that most part, but I don't know if they have enough in state, especially with Cook gone. Uh, Madison is a all right backup, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. And then of course in the NFC East, I mean that having Dallas, Philly, New York, and Washington, I honestly think that that goes. I hate to say it, Philly, Dallas, Washington, New York. But I honestly think between the top three, well, the top two is a toss up. But actually, I'll go and change that. I think Dallas, Philly, Washington, New York. And then I'm almost willing to say, like, going off, I mean, it's a talent level, but basically you have two new coordinators in Philadelphia. The same goes with two new coordinators. That might cause a little distress in the beginning, which might gives a team like Washington someone an opportunity, or Washington Dallas to get the leg up on them. Currently, the Giants are without a running back because the tag hasn't been signed by Saquon, and he's basically sitting in limbo. Um, so I would give the Commanders so I foresee the Giants being at the bottom of that pack. The Cowboys and Eagles jostling for that first position, and the Commanders sitting back and basically picking up the scraps and trying to buy their time. So um, I guess tomorrow I'll tap in and go over the AFC. Of course, maybe more to be said in reference to Well, you know what? Not tomorrow. We're gonna run it back on Wednesday. So I want to make sure I tap in and get with Wayne because he has something to say on Wednesday. So I know tomorrow is the 4th of July, People's Independence Day. So definitely go and enjoy that. I simply be doing what I got to do here as I continue to get ready for the move. But that's the time for today. Greatly appreciate you tapping in this morning. Be sure y'all can catch it. Like I said, I'll be back Wednesday. I'll take a chill pill for tomorrow. Let everyone enjoy their 4th of July. But we might see some movement, of course, because sports doesn't sleep. But 4th of July, we'll be back at the 4th of July on the 5th. Coach Wayne Walcott to be on. Um, we'll talk about some things. You know, saying we are for the most part we have the same teams, Lakers, Trojans, all that. We'll be able to talk a little bit about that. Talk about the upcoming tournament that's going on as he's coaching two teams, looking at if he can if he can double it up. Is he gonna walk away with the hardware, all the hardware, basically in the women's and men's divisions? So of course you still got time to make a plan, get down to Orlando, tap in, Battle of the Shields, Military Open Tournament. Until then, it's Trade the Commish. I'm up out of here. I look forward to seeing y'all on Wednesday. Tap in, fall in, enjoy y'all on 4th of July tomorrow. Peace.